Hey, welcome to the Garden Lab. Today, we're going to dig into a planting secret that could seriously double your tomato harvest. Yeah, it's a technique that flies in the face of what most people tell you, and it all starts by understanding what's really happening just below the soil. I bet you've heard this a million times, right? Plant your tomato at the same depth it was in the pot. Well, that advice completely ignores the tomato plant's hidden superpower. It's like this biological secret weapon that once you get it, it's going to change how you garden forever. Seriously. So what is this huge mistake we're all making? Well, it's ignoring this biological marvel that's capable of a radical transformation. So today, we're going to show you exactly how to unlock that hidden potential and why planting shallow is honestly one of the biggest missed opportunities in the garden. Okay, so the secret isn't actually in the roots you can already see. Nope, it's hiding in plain sight, right there on the stem. You see that green stalk? It's way more than just a support system. Think of it like a dormant root factory, just waiting for the signal to fire up and get to work. All right, let's zoom in and take a closer look at that stem. You're going to see two different things going on. First, you've got those tiny, fine little hairs. Those are called trichomes. And, a lot of people think these turn into roots, but they don't. The real magic, the key to this whole thing, is in these little raised bumps you can see. Those are called root primordia. And those little bumps, the root primordia, they're the starting point for what scientists call adventitious roots. Now, that's just a fancy term, right? All it means is roots that can grow from parts of the plant that, well, aren't roots, like the stem. It's basically the plant's incredible backup system. So get this, inside that tomato stem, there's a bunch of cells that are basically blank slates. The second they're buried in the dark, moist soil, they get a biological command, like a signal that says, okay, time to transform. And just like that, they start becoming a brand new, massive secondary root system. Okay, so why should you even care about the second root system? What's the big deal? Well, it really all comes down to surface area. More roots literally means more engines to go out and find those vital nutrients. We're talking phosphorus and potassium for bigger, tastier fruit. It also means the plant can handle drought so much better. And finally, it creates this incredible stability. It's like having these biological anchors holding your plant steady against wind and the weight of all that delicious fruit you're going to get. All right, enough science, let's get practical. There are two main ways to kickstart this root explosion, the deep hole method and the trench method. So let's figure out which one is the right one for your plants. Choosing your method is actually super simple. If your seedlings are looking sturdy and compact, you're going to go with the deep hole method. But what if your seedlings got a little tall and skinny? What we gardeners call leggy? Well, for those, the trench method is an absolute game changer. Okay, so for the deep hole method, you're going to dig a hole that's deep enough to bury about 2/3 of the plant's stem. But wait, before you drop it in, this part is absolutely crucial. You have to carefully snip off all the lower leaves and any side shoots from the part of the stem that's going to be underground. If you bury those leaves, you're just asking for rot. So once they're gone, just place the plant straight down in the hole and backfill the soil so only that top little cluster of leaves is sticking out. All right, now what about those leggy plants? This is where the trench method comes in. Instead of digging down, you're going to dig a shallow trench, maybe 3 or 4 inches deep. Just like before, you'll remove those lower leaves, but then you lay the whole plant down sideways in the trench and gently curve the top part up towards the sky. And don't worry that it looks a little crooked. The plant is smart. It'll naturally straighten itself out as it grows towards the sun over the next few days. And hey, here's a little pro tip for you, straight from soil science. When you're laying that plant in the trench, try to put the original root ball at the south end. Why? Because that orients the buried stem to get the most sun exposure. That warms up the soil and really encourages that explosive new root growth. Now, deep planting is an amazing superpower for your tomatoes, but you got to be careful. There are 3 critical science traps you really need to avoid, because if you get these wrong, you could actually end up hurting your plant instead of helping it. So what are they? First, planting in soil that's just too cold. Second, burying a special type of plant called a grafted tomato. We'll get into that. And third, just misunderstanding what happens right after you plant it. All right, first up, the temperature trap. You know this, right? Tomatoes love heat, so if the soil way down at the bottom of that deep hole is below 55 degrees Fahrenheit, that's about 13 Celsius, your plant's growth is just going to stall out. So here's the takeaway. If you're planting early in the season when the ground is still cool, the trench method is a much safer bet. It keeps all those new roots in the warmer top layers of the soil where they'll be happy. Okay, next up is the grafting trap. And please listen up because this one is a big deal. If you bought a grafted tomato, that's one where they take a really productive top part and fuse it onto a super disease-resistant rootstock, you absolutely cannot plant it deep. See that little scar or bump on the lower stem? That's the graft union. If you bury that, the top part of the plant will just grow its own weaker roots, and you completely lose all amazing benefits of that special rootstock you paid extra for. And last but not least, the shock factor. So you plant your tomato deep, and then for a week or so, it just sits there. It does nothing. Don't panic. It's not dead, I promise. What's it doing? It's busy putting all its energy into building that massive new root system underground. Once that foundation is built, boom, you're going to see a huge growth spurt above ground. Just do it a favor and water it every day for that first week to help it get established. So you've used the right method, you've avoided the traps. What's the big payoff here? You're not just growing a tomato anymore. You are actively engineering a superior plant, right from the ground up. You know, the best way to think about it is this. By planting deep, you're not just planting a tomato, you're giving it a second engine. A whole extra engine dedicated to stability, water uptake, and grabbing nutrients. And the end result? You get a plant that's way more drought tolerant, it's super stable and wind resistant, and, this is the best part, it's capable of pulling so many more nutrients out of the earth, which all translates into a bigger, better harvest for you. So from now on, remember this. Every time you put a tomato seedling in the ground, you have a choice. You're not just planting a tomato. You're building a stronger one from the ground up. Hey, if you love digging into the science behind a better garden, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss our next explainer here at the Garden Lab. Now go on, get out there, dig deep, and keep on growing.